It's Tuesday of Holy Week. And for me, it's one of the most beautiful liturgies of this week. Of course, not counting the Easter Triduum, but it's the liturgy. In the word of this Holy Tuesday, it moves me deeply because of the great symbolism it brings. And I want to share a little bit with you this Gospel of John. In chapter 13 and verse 30, John begins by saying, "The night entered with him." What is it about? We are in the upper room, a scene from the Latin Supper, the place of the supper. John takes us to the beating heart of the mystery of betrayal, where the drama of salvation is staged not only in acts, but in looks, silences, and symbols. The text begins with Jesus deeply moved. The word used in the original Greek is kriterion. It indicates an intense, almost violent, abrupt disturbance. Jesus, this word made flesh, feels in his soul the weight of what is to come. The traitor is not a stranger, not a Roman, but an intimate, one who shares the same bread. And here arises the symbol of bread and betrayed intimacy. In Semitic culture, sharing bread is more than a meal. It is a covenant. See what Jesus does on a mountaintop when he teaches the people to multiply the bread. This multiplication, this sharing, is a seal between friendships. It means establishing a pact of trust. By dipping a piece of bread in the bitter sauce of the table and delivering it to help, Jesus is making a final gesture of mercy, offering the chance for reconciliation. This gesture of Jesus taking the bread, dipping it, and delivering it to help, which in Semitic culture means intimacy, is directly linked to Psalm 41, verse 10, when it says, "Even my close friend, in whom I trusted, who ate my bread, has lifted it up against me." The heel? Here is a prophecy that is fulfilled, but which also reveals God's pain in the face of human freedom that is used for evil. Secondly, verse 30 draws attention by using an adverb of time. It was night. John is not just reporting the time this happened, because this is a theological night. The darkness is not only around. The darkness enters into Judas, who leaves the upper room, the place of the supper, leaves the light and communion of the table. At night here, it represents the total absence of God. It represents the loneliness of sin. It represents the cold decision to follow one's own ego, even when faced with love incarnate. St. John, the evangelist of light par excellence, records this movement with great precision. Judas plunges into the darkness that already dwelled within him. The phrase, "it was night," reminds us of the book of Genesis in chapter 1, when the sacred author Genesis tells us, "There was darkness over the face of the deep," signaling that a new creation is about to happen. But first, it will be necessary to cross the chaos. Thirdly, I emphasize the glory of the cross. This is the great Paschal paradox. When the evangelist in verse 31 says, "Now the Son of Man is glorified," it is almost scandalous to hear this. After Judas' betrayal, I was even moved, but here lies the core of Johannine theology. The cross is the throne of glory. And for John the evangelist, Jesus reigns from the height of the cross. There is no humiliation, only exaltation. The scandal of the cross is for the eyes of faith, the fullest manifestation of Trinitarian love, the word glorified. From the Greek, dios, so. It points to the manifestation of God's presence. By freely giving himself, Jesus reveals a divine essence, the love that gives itself to the end. And having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end in fourth place. So I highlight impulsive Peter and the pedagogy of failure. Peter will enter the scene as always very hasty. "Lord, I will give my life for you," he promises Jesus. But Jesus confronts him with the truth, "Peter, before dawn, before the first rays of sun appear." And this causes the rooster to crow, announcing the dawn. "Will you deny me 3 times? Peter, this figure of our human frailty, yet redeemed, he represents each of us who wants to love, but is still surrounded by fear, idealism, and illusions, keeping us on the back foot. Jesus does not despise Peter. On the contrary, he prepares Peter for the reunion that will take place on the shores of the Sea of Galilee, when the resurrected Jesus will ask Peter 3 times, "Peter, do you love me?" The pedagogy of failure is part of this Christian spirituality, my dears. Peter needs to experience his limit to be able to love with humility. If he denied 3 times out of fear, now we must affirm love 3 times in the fortress. Fifth, I emphasize the upper room as the school of the soul, the place of the supper, the gospel. He invites us today to enter the upper room of the human soul,
where the lights sometimes go out, where friendships hurt us, where the traitor is always an intimate, where our noblest desires collide with our human limitations. But it is in this dark space that the glory of the cross begins to shine. Each of us has a little Judas in us. When do we rationalize our sin? When do we relativize the gospel of Jesus Christ? And also we have our sin. When do we relativize the gospel of Jesus Christ? And we also have a little of Peter in us, when we promise much more than we can give. But we allow ourselves to be transformed by the merciful gaze of Jesus. In conclusion, my dears, I remember the fruitful silence of the night. Today let us not be afraid of the silence of the night, nor of betrayal. The Lord knows every shadow of the human heart, and yet, He decides to wash our feet, to share His bread, and to call us friends in the night of our history, in the night of our soul. The light still shines, that the certainty is that the darkness will never be able to overcome it. Kiss, my dears,